Jadon Sancho had 94 potential in FIFA 20, one of the highest potentials ever given in the game. And after getting 53 goals and 67 assists as a teenager at Dortmund, Man United understandably believed in the hype and spent 85 million euros on it. But his meteoric rise stalled at Old Trafford as he struggled to readjust to the English game and was relegated to a rotational role for his first 2 seasons there. Then he started fighting with Erik ten Hag, being accused by his manager of training badly and subsequently getting removed from the squad after he retaliated publicly. And this has all now resulted in a series of loan spells, the best of which came back at Dortmund. And after an uninspiring year at Chelsea, Sancho is now at Aston Villa, far away from his promised potential, but still with some time to turn it around. His former United teammate Marcus Rashford was also a Wonderkid back in the day, as in FIFA 18, Rashford had a potential of 90 overall. But unlike Sancho, Rashford burst onto the scene at his hometown club, scoring braces in both his first team debut and his Premier League debut against Arsenal. And for a while, Rashford looked like he was going to be the next club legend, as he'd amassed 47 goals and 26 assists before even turning 22. But fighting for the club by playing through some injuries took its toll on his body, as he became less consistent and more injury prone over time. He did have that famous spell after the World Cup where he was legitimately looking like the reincarnation of young Ronaldo. However, it didn't last, and after a decent half-season loan at Aston Villa, Rashford is now on loan at Barcelona, where he's having a pretty good season so far, but not in the colors he was meant to wear. United's biggest rivals, Liverpool, also had a Wonderkid come through at a similar age to Rashford, with Raheem Sterling having an 88 potential in FIFA 16. But at just 20 years old, Sterling had some contract disputes with Liverpool and controversially moved to league rivals Man City for an at the time English record £49 million. He started a bit slow in Manchester, but eventually developed into one of the best players in the league there, having consistent 20+ goal seasons, winning numerous individual awards, and picking up 4 Premier League titles. Then, after winding down a bit, Sterling moved to Chelsea in 2022, where he still kind of produced but not nearly to the same level as before. And after moving to Arsenal 2 years later, Sterling has completely fallen off now, as he has yet to play this season, but overall he had a really great career. Yet Sterling was not Pep Guardiola's most prized Wonderkid at City, as Phil Foden caught his attention more, having an 89 potential in FIFA 20. Guardiola called Foden the most talented player he'd ever seen at his age, and the Stockport Messi started to show why early on, getting 15 goals and 12 assists as a teenager for City. He then continued to develop well, upping his production more and more and also displaying immense technical ability, helping City win multiple league titles in his early 20s. And this all culminated in 2 big seasons from 2022 to 24, where he won the Champions League in 23 and was named the PFA Player of the Year in 24. And while he had a bit of a down year last season, Foden is still one of the best in the league, and being only 25 years old, he still has a lot of time to build up his legend even more. Often compared to Foden is Bukayo Saka, who arose at around the same time and boasted an 89 potential of his own in FIFA 20. Saka actually started as a left back, but much like famous golfer Gareth Bale, he moved to right wing early on and hasn't looked back since. As a teenager, Saka showed lots of flashes, but really started to produce in 2021, getting 11 goals and 7 assists as a 20-year-old. Then the team around him also started to improve, as Arsenal began challenging for titles and trophies while Saka upped his production and ability as well. But the Gunners just haven't been able to get over the hump so far, and while Saka has matched Foden in terms of individual ability, he's currently seeking to close the silverware gap as well, with Arsenal atop the table as of right now. Now going back in time, Arsenal once had another Wonderkid right winger, as Theo Walcott had 88 potential in FIFA 10. Walcott is England's youngest ever player, having made his debut at only 17 years old, and because of his combination of skill and generational pace, people thought he'd become one of the best in the world. In 2012, this started to come to fruition as Walcott got 21 goals and 14 assists in the season, finishing as Arsenal's top scorer, but that actually ended up being the best season of his career, as he started to suffer many severe injuries after that, especially when he tore his ACL and missed 79 consecutive games in 2013. And he was still somewhat productive afterwards, but it was clear that the elite levels of pace and agility were gone, and after having spells at Everton and Southampton, Walcott retired in 2023, ending a good but ultimately underwhelming career. Alongside Walcott at Arsenal was another Wonderkid who was just as hyped up, as Jack Wilshere had 90 potential in FIFA 12. Talented technically with great passing vision, Wilshere became a regular starter at just 18 years old, controlling the midfield with composure beyond his year. He kinda was like a La Masia graduate in an English body, and also started playing for the national team during this time, and it looked like everything was going well until he started getting injured repeatedly. Wilshere missed 222 games over 5 seasons with various different injuries, mainly being ankle problems, which obviously completely derailed his career. And understandably, he never got back to form, retiring in 2022 after more injury-plagued spells at West Ham and Bournemouth, and and is now the manager of Luton Town in League One. Wilshere had a midfield counterpart coming up around the same time, with Jack Rodwell of Everton having 86 potential in FIFA 12. Like Wilshere, Rodwell was a regular starter in the Prem as a teenager, but unlike Wilshere, he didn't stay with his hometown team, as he moved to Man City at 21 years old. This transfer did not work out though, as Rodwell had a hamstring made of paper and only ever played 25 games at the Etihad. So in 2015, he moved to Sunderland for €12 million, where he got on the pitch again but was more of a rotational piece for them. And after bouncing around a couple other clubs in England, Rodwell ended his career in Australia with Sydney FC, a far cry from what he was promised to be. A couple of years after Rodwell, Everton had another Wonderkid show up, as in FIFA 16, Ross Barkley had a potential of 88 overall. His performances as a teenager got Martin Keown to claim that Barkley would be one of the best players England will ever have. But early on, this prediction looked a little bit off, as Barkley showed glimpses of greatness but couldn't turn that into consistent performances or output. He started to get going in 2015 somewhat with a 12-goal, 11-assist season, and that prompted Chelsea to buy him for $17 million a couple of seasons later. However, it didn't really work out there, as he spent a lot of time on the sidelines injured, and after leaving and playing okay at Nice and Luton Town, he is now at Aston Villa, where he is currently injured once again. Now going to someone the same age as Barkley, and someone Alex Ferguson himself said was the best player he'd ever seen at his age, Ravel Morrison. Morrison was tipped to bring flash and flair to Man United, but in early 2011, he started getting involved in various legal issues, which limited him to only ever play 2 games for United's first team. He then moved to West Ham, where he showed some of that immense talent, but again got into some legal issues, which he was cleared of, but they understandably had a negative effect on his career. After that, he went to Lazio for 4 years, but he's mostly out on loan at clubs like QPR and Ostersund in that time, with Lazio director Igor Tare saying that he is world class but also a little mad, and he ended up never able to show that class, as he spent the rest of his career bouncing around many different clubs and countries and is now playing for the Arabian Falcons in the UAE 2nd Division. Moving forward a few years, another flashy talent like Ravel developed at Chelsea, and Callum Hudson-Odoi was given 89 potential upon his introduction to the first team. Hudson-Odoi impressed massively in preseason as an 18-year-old and even started in the Community Shield, but controversy began after he handed in a transfer request amid interest from Bayern Munich in winter 2019. He ended up staying at Chelsea though, playing well off the bench until he unfortunately ruptured his Achilles in April, probably the worst injury a player like him could get. After coming back, he still showed great ability, but it was obvious that the injury had affected him a bit, and after being a rotation player for 3 seasons, Hudson-Odoi was sold to Forest for only $3.5 million. And at Forest, he has been pretty solid, getting 18 goals and 7 assists so far for them, but his old potential now definitely seems out of reach. Starting as a winger like Hudson-Odoi, but eventually finding his place at right back was Trent Alexander-Arnold, who got 90 potential in FIFA 20. Being noted for his world-class crossing and passing vision, Trent got his chance at right back as a teenager and took immediate hold of the spot, getting 16 assists in the 2018 season. He was praised by many, from Cafu to Messi, for this generational passing ability, being called Kevin De Bruyne at right back by Gary Neville. And he continued to prove these opinions right, as he got 92 assists in total for Liverpool, with the most famous one going to Origi in that famous corner taken quickly during their title-winning 2019 UCL campaign. But he has been criticized for his defending before, and after winning the title in 2025, Trent decided to leave Liverpool on a free to join Real Madrid, where so far he has mostly been injured, so it remains to be seen if he can cement himself as one of the best fullbacks of all time. On the team that lost to Trent in that UCL final was Harry Kane, who had a 90 potential in FIFA 17. Kane was somewhat of a late bloomer compared to the others on the list, as after a couple mediocre loan spells, he came out of nowhere at Spurs to score 29 goals in his first season as a starter. And honestly, from there, he just developed into the best English player of his generation, scoring goals for fun and also turning into one of the best passers in the world as well. He won 4 Player of the Years, had a season where he won the Golden Boot and the Top Assister award at the same time, and became England's all-time top goal scorer. But being at Spurs, he never got his hands on a trophy despite years of being a top 10 player in the world. So in 2023, he finally left Bayern for $95 million, and after a cursed first season where the Kane curse was in full effect, he at last won his first trophy in 2025. And now at 32, he's having his best season yet, with 34 goals and 4 assists in 29 games so far, looking like he's gonna continue building up his trophy cabinet as one of the best strikers of all time. But the more hyped Wonderkid at Spurs, and probably the most hyped Wonderkid of the 2010s, was Dele Alli, who was also given a 90 potential in FIFA 17. Dele was widely thought to be one of, if not the best young midfielder of his generation, having all the attributes to become the icon of the 2010s decade. At 20 years old, Dele got 22 goals and 13 assists for Spurs, including an absolute wonder goal at Palace and also a missile against France for England, only increasing the hype even more. But while he still showed his talent in the seasons after, he became more and more inconsistent, starting starting to drum up criticism of his attitude and also having issues staying healthy. Jose Mourinho said it best, as he warned Dele to change his ways or he'd regret not fulfilling his full potential. But now that we know more of Dele's rough childhood, I personally can't blame him for his inconsistencies. So before his prime even began, Dele Alli started declining rapidly, leaving Spurs in 2022 to Everton, where he did not really make any contributions. And after an unsuccessful loan at Besiktas, Dele moved to Como in 2025, where he only ever played one game and got sent off. So he is now a free agent at 29 years old, a golden boy who never became the king. I'd appreciate if you liked and subscribed if you enjoyed the video, and comment below what you want to see next.